In the heart of Copenhagen lies a district that is not like any other district in Europe. It is a place where mainstream society laws do not apply, and a place that is defined by creativity, freedom, and a lot of controversy. Let's explore Christiania, the Freetown of Copenhagen. The story of Christiania began in 1971. In the 70s, there was a lot of yearning for an alternative way of living all over Western countries. People were looking for social change, and they did also here in Denmark. This whole area here used to be a military base, but Denmark hasn't been at war in ages, and people didn't see the point of maintaining this military base anymore. They were looking for places to build housing to make a living. So there was a group of squatters and activists that broke into this military base here. Actually, it is said that it was only one family that started it all. There was a family that was looking for a place to play for their child. They broke into here and their first playground was set up here. More and more people arrived and people took over this place. They started to build houses without permission from the authorities. People also moved into the old military barracks that we can see here until today. People here wanted freedom. They wanted affordable housing. They wanted to live differently, experiment and create. And until today, Christiania remains an autonomous area here in Copenhagen. It is the Freetown Christiania that has its own rules and laws. And that is what makes it into a very controversial place. What started as a protest quickly evolved into something way bigger. This was the starting of the Freetown Christiania. Repeated raids, increasing gang involvement and public pressure put Christiania into a cycle of confrontation and uneasy truces. And since Christiania is known as a free town, they also have their own flag, which you can see here above me in a graffiti. The red color represents the socialism, and the three dots represent the values of Christiania, which are trust, love, and hope. The community declared itself independent with its own laws and its own social rules. What also really calls my attention is the fact that there are no cars here in Christiania. It's been declared a car-free zone, and actually what you just saw here behind me is the typical bike of Christiania. The people here needed some kind of transportation, and they developed these bikes that have like a car in front of them to be able to transport a lot of things, especially heavy things. And that's also why these bikes are known as Christiania bikes. And it is said that these types of bikes have been developed here in the free town of Christiania. Nowadays, I think you can see them all over the world probably. When you enter Christiania, you will see pillars that will hold cars back from entering this area. And the fact that it is a car-free zone makes it a very peaceful and calm area. It is very enjoyable to just walk through the district here. Even though Christiania is meant to be a car-free zone, you can see cars here every now and again. And I wonder a little bit why some people seem to be privileged to have a car and others not. Or maybe over time this has developed, I don't know. And I wonder how they even enter. There's probably somewhere an entry where you can actually get in with a car. Since Christiania is a free town, this means that they also do not belong to the public system of Copenhagen. For example, they have their own garbage system here. I just talked to an employee. She worked at the place where they recycle all the garbage, and she told me that they have their own system there and it seems to work pretty well. There are lots of machines over there where they recycle everything accordingly. That's actually pretty interesting. And I also saw a place where you can just take a book. There was a sign that said, it only costs you a smile. So everybody who wants to read something can just go there. It's like a free library. You can take your book. You can also bring books if you have one that you don't need anymore. And this is how it works. They kind of share these kind of things here. I think that's pretty cool. There's even a place just there behind me where you can find clothes. People here, if they don't need clothes anymore, they just drop them off there and somebody else who needs it can take it from there. That's also kind of cool and perfectly represents the community and the sense for community here in Christiania. Look at that, they even have their own football club here that represents since 40 years the values and the people of Christiania. On their webpage it says they have around 200 members. It's not a lot, but for a small area such as Christiania, I would say it actually is a lot. Christiania became a living social experiment guided by principles of collectivism, sustainability and self-governance. Homes were built from scrap, decisions made by consensus, and money was often secondary to creativity and cooperation. The reputation of Christiania would become inseparable of the so-called Pusher Street, which you can see here behind me, an entrance of it. It is a very famous street because here you were able to buy drugs, only soft drugs. That is very important to say, that hard drugs such as cocaine, for example, have always been strictly forbidden here in Christiania. But something like hash and marijuana could be found here in Pusher Street. I'm not sure though if that is still possible because there's a sign up there that says that Pusher Street has been closed due to a community decision of Christiania. It is important to mention the history of this area. There were various gangs that ruled over the Pusher Street. The real number of gangs is not so clear. I've read something like 7 different gangs, but the numbers varied a little bit. And these gangs had fights in between them. So there were shootings, there were incidents and a lot of violence here due to those different gangs here in the area. In order to improve the quality of life here in Christiania and also to further implement the values of this area, they banned those kind of activities here and closed Pusher Street. At least that is what is stated on the sign in front of the entrance. But let's walk inside and see what we can find today in Pusher Street. It's actually a very cute street with lots of shops. There is a restaurant and a bar here. It looks beautiful, honestly. And it has a very unique vibe, like pretty much everything here in this district. And nowadays it's even allowed to take photos and film here, because I've also heard that it used to be strictly forbidden and even dangerous if you would have filmed anything here in Pusher Street. There are all kinds of souvenirs here that you can buy that are, well, full of the flag of Christiania basically, or political statements or something like that. You can buy everything from umbrellas to sweaters, t-shirts, lighters. There are so many things. Make sure to bring cash. It is always preferred to pay in cash, although you can pay with credit card, but you would usually pay an extra 25 krona to do so. A bit of a strange visit, but let's check out a public toilet here in Christiania. It looks super creative, super colorful. It doesn't seem to be the cleanest bathroom I've ever seen. It also doesn't smell super good in here, but it's for free and therefore I guess it's totally fine. By the way, there is no division into women and men here, and there's lots of graffiti in there as well. It's a public bathroom. But it's cool that they even have those here in Christiania. In general, they have them everywhere in Copenhagen. It's kind of cool, and they're always for free. Even though it's not the cleanest public bathroom I've ever seen, they even have toilet paper and soap in there. So it's kind of cool, especially if you keep thinking about the fact that this here is not part of the normal public system of Copenhagen. It is all maintained by the people of Christiania. In 2011, after years of legal disputes, the residents of Christiania collectively purchased the land from the Danish state. It was a step toward legitimacy, but one that sparked internal conflict. Some saw it as selling out, and others saw it as survival. Despite its contradictions, Christiania endures. Landmarks such as the Green Hall, an art and workshop space, Nemo Land, a public square known for free concerts, and the Grey Hall, a cultural center, continue to anchor the spirit of the community. I am in front of the main entrance of Christiania. You can see the sign here behind me that says you are now entering the EU. So this means that Christiania doesn't even consider itself as part of the European Union. And you can clearly see the huge contrast in between Christiania and the rest of Copenhagen. If you walk through the gate, you can see a whole different world. It's like stepping into a different city. Here behind me you can now see again lots of traffic, a lot of traffic lights, lots of cars. It's way noisier here and not as peaceful anymore as in Christiania. It is a unique entrance to this very unique part of Copenhagen. You can also see the stones that I have mentioned before that avoid cars from entering Christiania. In Christiania itself, there is no hospital and there is also no school. So whenever a child is born, I suppose that people make use of the public system of Denmark. It is a little bit controversial, to be honest, to want all these freedoms they have in Christiania, but then whenever you need it, make use of the public system of Denmark and the advantages the country gives the people. But at the same time, I guess you don't have any other choice, right? Anyway, one thing is for sure, it's impossible to end up in Christiania accidentally, as the contrast is huge. Whether it is seen as a utopia or a relic of rebellion, Christiania remains a mirror reflecting both the dreams and the fractures of the society surrounding it. Now I have one last question for you. What does it mean to you to be free? And do you believe that here in Christiania, people live a life more freely than in other places in the world? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will hopefully see you next week in my next adventure.